What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson, and we have a new release date for the Loki Season 2 premiere, and we have a new teaser for it. We're also going to be going over some huge plot details that we have recently learned about the Loki series concerning what Loki, Mobius, and OB are trying to do with the time loom. So if you are curious as to what exactly is happening in the trailers with this particular scene where Mobius is wearing an astronaut suit and going out to the time loom, we'll shed some light on what exactly is happening in this video. Now, as far as the new Loki release date is concerned, it is good news, not bad news. I know there have been a lot of Marvel delays recently and just delays in the industry in general due to the writer strikes and the actor strikes and everything going on, but the premiere has actually been moved up by a day. Instead of releasing on October 6th, Marvel Studios is releasing Loki Season 2 on October 5th at 6 p.m. Now, this could be huge. This could indicate a huge change for Disney Plus and Marvel Studios. We've talked about this briefly before, but this could mean that every episode is now going to be coming out at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and that would be 9 p.m. Eastern time.
That's what's been happening. Wow.
This is fantastic news because now fans on the East Coast don't have to wait till 3 a.m. to watch it, and fans on the West Coast don't have to wait till 12 a.m. And the reason we believe that every episode is going to premiere at 6 p.m. is because this is exactly what they're doing right now for Ahsoka. Every Tuesday, each episode releases at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And great news for those who used to attend, we'll be bringing back the watch parties. Since it's at a good time now, we'll start our watch parties up again, and we can do watch parties together. Now, as I mentioned, we did get a new teaser for Loki Season 2 today. It's kind of a behind the scenes, but they do actually give us a lot of new footage and a lot of new details about what exactly Loki is trying to do in Loki Season 2. Now, to start off, Marvel Studios right out the bat with this new teaser confirmed something huge. For those of you who were wondering and were kind of concerned about this, Kevin R. Wright, a Marvel Studios executive producer for Loki Season 2, states that our Loki will be with our Mobius, and they will be dealing with the consequences of Loki Season 1. Now, I've seen a lot in the comments and on Twitter that people were kind of disappointed and concerned that Loki kind of goes back in time at the end of Loki Season 1, and now in Loki Season 2, he isn't dealing with the same Mobius that he has the history of Season 1 with. A lot of people were worried that they were going to have to start that relationship over again, but that is not the case, and Marvel Studios confirmed it right here. And we also do kind of know how Loki Episode 1 starts off and ends. Yes, Loki does go back in time, and yes, the TVA does exist outside of space and time. However, from what we've been told, time still moves through the people in the TVA. So Loki gets time displaced at the end of Loki Season 1, and in the beginning of Loki Season 2, he starts time slipping, which isn't supposed to be possible because, again, the TVA exists outside of space and time. However, ultimately we know that OB, who is one of the first TVA people who worked with Kang the Conqueror / He Who Remains, he literally helped him create the TVA and the sacred timeline. We've actually seen footage of that in other trailers as well, but ultimately OB creates a device that allows Loki to kind of control time just like the TVA does. So ultimately Loki will go back to the time where he came from. He'll go back to the same timeline from Loki Season 1 where he revealed to Mobius and Hunter B-15 and everybody else that the TVA was not what they think, that the timekeepers weren't real, and they were real people before. They weren't created by the TVA, but they were actually taken by the TVA. And now Loki will be back in that same time, and he will tell them about He Who Remains. And then they'll set off on their journey to find Victor Timely for a very, very specific reason. And it's actually very cool and very clever, and it's not what you think. We'll deep dive into that in just a bit. But first, big thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Many of you may know that I personally use HelloFresh and I love it. It makes cooking fun, easy, and it's affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit delivered straight to your door. And you might not know that they actually have seasonal recipes. Right now, since it's summer, they have their new Fresh and Fit summer menu. So if you're trying to get that beach bud, but you're also trying to eat really great tasting food, it's perfect for you. Right now, it's peak time for summer produce, and HelloFresh makes sure you get all the best picks all season long. Their ingredients travel from the farm to your door in less than 7 days for quality you can taste. If you are trying to impress your friends this summer by doing some cooking for them, HelloFresh makes it super simple. They give you all of the ingredients and tell you exactly how to make each meal. And the best part is right now, if you go to hellofresh.com/50cosmic, you can use code 50cosmic for 50% off plus free shipping. That's hellofresh.com/50cosmic and use code 50cosmic for 50% off your order and free shipping. Now, we know that Loki and Mobius are going to run into Victor Timely. This was the post-credit scene for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and we've also seen him many times now in the trailers and the TV spots for it. And a lot of people think that they are going to stop an earlier version of He Who Remains so he doesn't become He Who Remains. But it seems like that is not the case. We've seen in the trailers this new team, Loki, Mobius, Sylvie, OB, Hunter B-15, etc. We've seen them staring at the sacred timeline. We've seen them staring at the time loom. And we've also heard Sylvie tell Loki that they're playing gods, and Loki says, "We are gods." But the reason Sylvie is telling Loki this is because of what happened at the end of Loki season 1. The option of Loki and Sylvie being in charge of the TVA, determining which timeline lives and which doesn't, that is essentially them playing gods. However, Loki now knows more about what He Who Remains and the variants are up to, and he knows that maintaining that sacred timeline is how to keep Kang and his variants away. So Loki and them are trying to figure out a way to actually control the sacred timeline and continue creating the future. However, and this is the big part, what we've heard is that Loki and Mobius and OB, they can't actually access the sacred timeline because essentially it has a password. Essentially, nobody but Kang the Conqueror can access it, or a variant, because they have the same DNA. So it appears that Loki and Mobius might not be seeking a variant of He Who Remains because they are trying to stop He Who Remains, but they actually need him to unlock the sacred timeline. And based off of the footage that we have seen in some of these trailers, it does look like Victor Timely does indeed go back to the TVA and is inspecting the sacred timeline and a model of what seems to be the bridge that goes out to the sacred timeline. So it seems like they do eventually get him back to the TVA, which he probably hasn't invented yet at that point in time. So they're trying to kind of align themselves with a Kang who hasn't essentially become Kang yet. However, if they are taking directly from the story of the comics, this Victor Timely Kang variant is not going to be so good. In the comics, Kang, whose real name is Nathaniel Richards, is from way in the future. He discovers a time travel device and goes back into ancient Egypt times. He rules as the Pharaoh Rama-Tut until he is defeated by the Fantastic Four. From there, he gets a little time displaced. He runs into Dr. Doom. Some other stuff happens until he eventually goes back in time to Earth and takes on the guise of Victor Timely. So if they are taking from that story, this Victor Timely could have already been the Kang who has conquered ancient Egypt. And if he is indeed evil, which we know the majority of the Kang variants are, and if he is evil, he might take this opportunity to actually try and seize control over the TVA or its technology, and we could actually see a stronger Kang created here. But we do know that that is why Loki and Mobius are seeking Victor Timely, because they need a Kang variant to be able to access the sacred timeline. Now, there's actually another really big point of the teaser that we saw this morning, and something that I really love is that they state Loki is going to be exploring what they call his heroicism. We hear Sylvie ask Loki, "What is it you really want?" And he replies with, "I want to save my friends." And then Tom Hiddleston behind the scenes says that Loki realizes that those connections are all that matters in the end, meaning the connections with his friends, with the people he cares about, with the people that he loves. So we're seeing a very evolved Loki here, a Loki that is no longer really the villain, but is actually a hero. And he's not only trying to save his friends in Loki season 2, but he's also essentially trying to save the entire universe and possibly the entire multiverse. So we are seeing the rise of an epic hero here, and I think Loki is going to play a really huge part in Avengers Secret Wars. And I personally am super excited and can't wait to see Loki Season 2 and what happens in Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Let us know how excited you are in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU news. And if you subscribe and leave a comment, you're automatically entered in our giveaway for a chance to win an Xbox Series X, a PS5, some Marvel Legends items, or some DC items. The winner gets to pick one item, and we pick a winner at the end of each month. You can always find us on Instagram and Twitter as well. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.